Hey, I'm Jack. I break down confusing ATO and Centrelink rules so you don't have to. This is Tax Decoded. 7 ordinary decisions. Selling your home, helping out family, moving into a retirement village can quietly change your age pension, and most people never go back and check whether any of them apply to their situation. One of these can turn your own home into an assessable asset without you doing anything wrong at all. I'm going through all 7, exactly how each one works, and what to actually check. Let's get into it. Quick reminder, I'm not a financial advisor and I don't work for Centrelink or Services Australia. Pension entitlements depend heavily on your individual situation, so treat this as a checklist of questions to ask, not a final answer. If any of these sound close to your circumstances, Services Australia or a retirement specialist financial advisor is worth the conversation. Let's start with the decision that catches out more people than any other on this list. Number 1, selling your home to move somewhere else without realizing there's a clock running the moment settlement happens. Your principal home is exempt from the age pension assets test for as long as you live in it, but the moment you sell it, the proceeds you intend to use toward a new home only stay exempt temporarily. You generally have 24 months from the date of sale to buy, build, rebuild, repair, or renovate a new principal home if the sale happened from 2023 onward. Any of those sale proceeds not used toward a new home within that window become fully assessable, and during that window they're also assessed as a financial asset and deemed for income test purposes, the same as money sitting in a bank account. This catches people out constantly during a genuinely stressful period, selling one home and searching for the next one, especially if the process drags out through a slow property market, a delayed build, or a difficult search for the right downsized property. If the 24 months runs out before you've settled on a new home, those funds are simply reassessed as an ordinary asset from that point, which can reduce or even cancel your pension, purely due to timing rather than anything about the money itself. What to check? If you're planning to sell and buy, track the 24-month window from day 1, and if it looks like it might run close, Services Australia can be contacted about your specific timeline before the deadline becomes a problem rather than after. Number 2, and this connects directly to the first point, the decision to put your home sale proceeds into super through a downsizer contribution rather than keeping them as cash or using them for a new home. Downsizer contributions let eligible Australians aged 55 and over contribute up to $300,000 each, $600,000 for a couple vows from the sale of an eligible home into superannuation outside the normal contribution caps. It's a genuinely popular, tax-effective strategy for boosting retirement savings later in life. Here's the part that surprises people. While the family home itself is completely exempt from the assets test, superannuation is not once you're past pension age. Moving money out of an exempt asset, your home, and into an assessable one, your super balance, can directly reduce your pension, sometimes significantly, purely as a result of a strategy that was genuinely sound from a tax and retirement savings perspective. The downsizer contribution itself is an excellent tool for building retirement savings, but it isn't pension neutral, and treating it as though it were is exactly where this decision goes wrong for people who don't check both sides of the equation first. What to check? Before making a downsizer contribution, run the numbers on both sides. The retirement savings benefit inside super against the potential pension reduction from converting an exempt asset into an assessable one. For some people it's still clearly worth it. For others, closer to pension thresholds, the pension impact can outweigh the benefit. Number 3, entering a retirement village, and specifically, how the size of your entry contribution quietly determines whether Centrelink treats you as a homeowner or not. Retirement villages set their own entry fees, and those fees can range from a modest amount up to the full market value of the unit. Centrelink uses the size of that entry contribution specifically to decide whether you're classified as a homeowner or a non-homeowner for pension purposes, and that classification matters enormously because non-homeowners are assessed under meaningfully higher asset test thresholds than homeowners are. If your entry contribution is below a certain threshold, you're generally treated as a non-homeowner, meaning the money you didn't pay toward the entry fee, the difference between what you paid and what a full purchase would have cost, is assessed as an asset in its own right. If your entry contribution is above that threshold, you're generally treated as a homeowner instead, and the entry contribution itself becomes exempt, similar to how a home is treated. This is a genuinely significant structural decision, and it's frequently made based purely on lifestyle preference, which village, which unit, which contract type A, without anyone involved in the decision flagging the pension consequences of the entry fee size itself. What to check? Before signing a retirement village contract, get the specific entry contribution amount checked against current Centrelink thresholds, ideally with a financial advisor experienced in aged care and retirement village structuring specifically, since the contracts themselves vary enormously and the pension impact can be substantial either way. Number 4, one I've covered in more detail in a previous video, but it belongs firmly on this list, gifting money or assets to children or grandchildren. You can gift up to $10,000 in a single financial year, or $30,000 across a rolling 5-year period without it affecting your pension. Anything above those limits gets treated as a deprived asset. Centrelink continues counting it as though you still own it for both the assets test and the deemed income test for 5 full years from the date of the gift, even though the money is genuinely gone and you can't access it anymore. This decision often gets made with the best intentions, helping a child with a house deposit, supporting a grandchild through study, without anyone checking the limits first, and the consequences follow the pensioner for half a decade afterward. What to check? Any gift above $10,000 in a financial year is worth running past Services Australia or an advisor before the money moves, not after. Spreading a larger gift across multiple financial years within the annual limit each time is one common way people manage this legally. Number 5. The decision to move into residential aged care, either for yourself or helping a parent through this process, and how the home is treated differently once that happens. If you move into an aged care facility and your home remains vacant or is occupied only by a person who doesn't qualify as a protected person under the rules, your home stays exempt from the assets test for up to 2 years from the date you enter care. Once that 2-year exemption expires, your home is reassessed as an asset and you're reclassified as a non-homeowner going forward. This decision is frequently made under significant emotional and time pressure, a health crisis, a sudden decline, a family managing multiple urgent decisions at once, and the 2-year clock is easy to lose track of amid everything else going on. If the home isn't sold, rented in a way that's properly accounted for, or otherwise addressed within that window, the pension impact can be substantial and arrives at a time when the family may already be managing a difficult aged care, means-tested fee situation as well. What to check? If a home remains empty after someone enters aged care, get clarity early on the 2-year exemption timeline and what options exist, selling, renting, or other arrangements, well before that window closes, ideally as part of the initial aged care planning conversation, rather than as an afterthought. Number 6. Deciding to keep working in some capacity after reaching pension age, and understanding exactly what protection the work bonus does and doesn't provide. The work bonus allows pension-age Australians to earn income from actual employment or self-employment up to $460 a fortnight, without it counting against the income test. Unused amounts can also accumulate in what's called an income bank up to a maximum balance, which can then offset larger bursts of employment income later, such as seasonal or casual work concentrated into a shorter period. The decision that trips people up isn't taking the part-time work itself. It's assuming this same protection extends to other income sources. It doesn't. Income from investments, rental properties, or superannuation pension streams is assessed under the ordinary income test rules, with no work bonus buffer at all, regardless of how the employment income is being treated. What to check? If you're weighing up taking on part-time or casual work in retirement, it's worth understanding your income bank balance and how it interacts with your other income sources, rather than assuming all extra income in retirement gets treated the same favourable way. And number 7, the decision of how to draw down your superannuation once you're retired, whether as an account-based pension, a lump sum withdrawal, or some combination of the two. Superannuation in accumulation phase is exempt from the assets test while you're under pension age, but once you reach pension age and begin drawing it as an income stream, it becomes an assessable financial asset, subject to deeming for the income test, the same as other financial assets. How you structure withdrawals, leaving more inside an account-based pension versus taking larger lump sums and spending or gifting them, has direct flow-on effects for both the assets test and the deemed income calculation, and interacts with several of the decisions already covered in this video, particularly gifting and downsizer contributions. This is genuinely one of the more complex interactions on this entire list because it isn't a single decision made once, it's an ongoing structuring choice that can be revisited periodically as personal circumstances, thresholds and deeming rates all continue to shift over time. What to check? This is a strong candidate for periodic review with a financial advisor, ideally at least every year or two, rather than a set and forget decision made once at the point of retirement and never revisited again. 7 decisions: selling the home, downsizer contributions, retirement village entry fees, gifting, aged care timing, part-time work, and how super income streams are structured. None of these are rare, unusual situations. They're genuinely common choices most retirees face at some point, and the common thread through all 7 is the same one. A decision that felt purely personal or lifestyle driven often carries a pension consequence. Nobody flagged at the time. Quick reminder, I'm not a financial advisor. This is general information, not personal advice. Pension entitlements depend heavily on individual circumstances. So if any of these 7 sound close to a decision you're facing or one you've already made, it's worth a genuine review with Services Australia or a retirement specialist advisor. If this helped, hit subscribe. I break down every pension, tax and super decision that actually affects your bottom line. See you in the next one.